Need to remind everybody that these will be put on our Facebook page. They'll be put district by district, so you can, you can watch all of them. But if you just want to watch like one district at a time, we'll be doing that as well. So are you ladies and gentlemen ready? Yes. All right. Tony, if you will sit down, I'll give you the. Is this anybody's water?
It was mine. Yes, I'll take it. Please.
Okay, I'll bring it.
Let's not waste it.
Here's your back and there's your microphone.
It's nice to be back in Deputy Act. Nice to see a lot of my old friends out there. But I'm a Walden County guy. I grew up in Freeport. I was in the 3rd graduating class there. Had a total of 29, and it just dwarfed the other 2 classes. So I grew up there. I raised my family here, and I'm helping raise my grandkids in South Walton. My kids moved to South Walton, and I knew they were going to start having grandkids, so I moved down there too. We're in a tumultuous time. Our Republican nominee for president was shot at last Saturday, and as Mr. Nick said, it was really hurt every one of us. We were all just kind of thrown out of sync by that. But it comes at a time when Washington politics is the most hateful politics that's ever been. It is, when you call somebody Hitler and a Nazi enough, people are going to take offense. They're going to think he is Hitler. He isn't a Nazi. And the news media today, all they do is sensationalize everything. And I've always had the philosophy that I don't care who you are, I don't care how smart you are, I don't care how uneducated you are, I don't care anything. Occasionally you're going to come up with a good idea. And just because I may agree with Mr. Curry on numerous issues, I will support his good ideas. And I have supported good ideas. Everybody says, okay, Tony's a developers commissioner. And that's not true. Do I take money from developers? Yeah, but I take money from anybody that gives it to me when I'm running for office. The whole thing is, there's a state law that says if we do not pass something that follows our comp plan and code, it's against the law. You can have ethics charges filed against you. You can end up in jail. Same way with lack of infrastructure. Another state law that says we cannot stop a project simply because we don't have infrastructure for it. There's been a lot of projects I didn't like. A lot of projects I had to vote for because it followed the comp plan and the code, and therefore I took an oath to follow state law. So I know there's a lot of people that just get tired of me saying yes to things. But if a project follows our comp plan and code, legally I have to do it. Thank you for holding that time up. That time's up. Thank you so much. Appreciate your vote on August 20th.
Good evening. My name is Barbara Morano, and I'm literally running for District 5. District 5 is not only going to be my concern, it's 1, 2, 3, and 4. A district commissioner serves the entire Walton County. I'm also a member of the AARP Club, so I know the needs of our citizens that are senior citizens, but I also know the needs of children, and we have 2 groups of people. My background has been in education. I have a master's degree, but I think about my parents. My parents were part of that great generation. They grew up during the Depression. They didn't know where the next meal was going to come from. And they only went to 8th grade. And they were factory workers. I wore a key around my neck, which opened the door for me after school. I was dropped off at a daycare, the first one there, the last one to be picked up. So I know the value of money, I know the value of working hard, and I know the value of success. And I bring those qualities with me every day of my life. I'm a conservative Republican. I believe in fiscal management, and I believe in First Amendment rights. And if you've watched sometimes some of the meetings, the citizens are having a difficult time at the podium. People ask me, why do you want to run? Maybe I'll also say, why do you want to run? For the past 5 years, I've been standing at the podium for the citizens who can't attend the meetings. I've been at the Board of County Commissioners many times and various other county meetings. I am not new to Walton County. I am not new to Walton County politics. I'm tired of sitting on the beach for margaritas. It's time for me to get up. It's time for me to be here. And it's 4 years of a commitment. I had to talk to my husband. We've been married for 50 years. We were basically high school sweethearts. I have a daughter who's been very successful. She went to medical school, which is wonderful when her grandparents only went to 8th grade, because we believe in education. When Jamie was in medical school, she was deciding what practice she'd go into, and of course Mama said dermatology, Botox, let's make some money. No, she's an infectious disease doctor and she works at the VA in Tampa. So I'm very proud. We've all worked hard as a family, and I bring those values with me. I also have a grandson who's 8, so I realize the needs of parents here for soccer fields and all sorts of baseball fields, and I understand that from South Walton to North Walton. I also understand my time is up, so thank you.
Ready? Okay.
Hello. Thank you, esteemed hosts, and that's everyone here. My name's Edmund Zloja. I go by, my patients call me Dr. Z. That last name is kind of tough. And I'll tell you what I learned in medical school is that sometimes we don't know anything or everything, but what we learn is where to find the answer. And where I found the answer in politics is we have folks that we surround ourselves with that do the research, that have the information that we need in order to make the right decisions, be it on the board or in any political office for that matter. We count on other people that have the know-how and the knowledge, and that's where I think I have a forte is I surround myself with the people that have the information so we can make good decisions for the community. Obviously, we're all here with one purpose, one objective, one goal, and that's to serve the community. I felt like I'm here by design. I retired a few months ago. I thought I was going to be, on Shore Island and hanging out with my kids. But here I am, and it was by design. It was something in my gut that drove me to this endeavor to serve Walton County. Why? I'm here. There are probably a couple of other reasons. I'm an optimistic problem solver, and I know there are solutions and there are paths to resolve everything. Intelligent answers, solutions to everything. And I'm glad that it's such a pleasure to be surrounded by these fine folks, and I'm learning to appreciate and to love all these candidates because, first of all, they're here to serve, and they're so eloquent in their delivery of their desire to serve this community. And I'm happy to join these 3 folks running for District 5 and to bring to Walton County my experience, not only businesses running medical, I ran multidisciplinary medical offices. I did build some houses in Seagrove, 3 houses, and so I have some experience with different life experiences, but in particular, I have specific values and specific, for example, one of the things is, like I mentioned, that the optimistic approach to things, and the second thing is persistence. So if there is a problem, I am so persistent and I get that done. If someone tells me it can't be done, like I mentioned this morning, it triggers something in my brain that it has to be done. Again, thank you for hosting this.
I think we're going to start with the doctor then. He has the microphone.
I won't pretend to be able to pronounce your last name, sir. Yet, the first question we have for all the candidates is, name a county decision, project, or initiative that you believe has been a great benefit to the public.
So one of the things that I praise, where some people have faulted, is in Defuniak Springs, that golf course, and Tony was probably a big proponent of that, is my understanding. And I think that that park, that golf course, should be a mecca for the surrounding areas and all the kids, because I'm a reserve police officer in a county just a little bit north of here. And what we run into is, we run into a lot of kids that get involved with drugs and other issues very young. So to have a venue like that, I think it should expand. They should have a splash, a water splash, outside ping pong. They should have music. They should have even other things. There's a nice parcel. It's large. Some things are, the golf course takes a big component of it, but there are some areas that could sustain other activities for kids, so they have after-school programs in Defuniak and around this area. So I really praised our project. I know it may cost the county a little money, but we throw a lot of money at a lot of other things that do not support our youth.
Ms. Morano, name a county decision, project, or initiative that you believe has been a great benefit to the public.
Thank you for that question. As you heard, our land development code and our comprehensive plan are supposedly ruling the kinds of development we have. The best decision I believe the commissioners made was to contract with a consultant firm to look at the next 20 years. The firm that was picked was called Duani, Platter, and Zybeck. Hopefully you had a chance to do their survey. If you didn't, I still want you to be active to understand what's going on. This particular consultant firm did excellent things. They went around and talked to everyone. They talked to people in the community. They are now in the process of talking to our commissioners individually because of the Sunshine Law. I will not let that plan sit on someone's desk. That plan needs to be worked. It needs to be talked. It needs to work with the people, because there are so many people that really don't know about this Plan 2040. In 20 years, what do we want this county to look like? It's not going to look like what we have right now, and it's not going to have more cities, because this particular consultant firm said we need more town centers, not more cities. So they're also looking at our land development code to improve it, because believe it or not, they're confused when they read it, because there's a lot of decisions that are made just on opinions rather than facts. So I am very excited about working with Plan 2040. I think we will gain economically, we will gain aesthetically, and I think we'll be happier all the way around going into 2040. So thank you.
Thank you. I agree with both of you. I had input in both those things, so thank y'all for saying that. There's a lot of things the county has done in the 8 years I've been in office. One of the ones I'm most proud of is we've created 10,000 jobs. 10,000 jobs for our youth, 10,000 jobs for families, 10,000 jobs for Walton County. Mr. Gregory keeps our taxes up. He knows what's going on with our taxes, and he can tell you. Our county's still growing. You can like it, you can not like it, but the fact of the matter is, people are getting out of that crazy stuff up north and moving to Florida, and we better be ready for it. People have bought property down here 50 years ago, waiting for this day to sell that property so people could build on it. It's going to happen. Freeport in 21 was the fastest growing city in the state of Florida. I grew up in Freeport. I could never imagine that would be the case. So I'm very happy that y'all agree with some of my decisions. But the fact of the matter is there's a lot of things the county has done. Miss Sarah came to me before she got off the board and said she had been pushing internet service for Walden County for years. And she said, I'm retiring, would you please pick up the mantle on this? And I did. Commissioner Chapman, I don't know if he's still here, he picked up the mantle. The thing is, the internet is the greatest thing ever, or it's the worst thing ever, but it's needed. We had children going to fire stations to use their internet. Children going to McDonald's to use their internet. Now, we're not all the way finished with this. COVID put us back. The supply chain put us back. But we're halfway to Freeport now, and within a few years, we'll be all the way to the beach. It is very important that we have the tools in Walden County for our youth. And getting the internet throughout the county for our students is very important. Thank you.
We'll start with Ms. Morano. South and Central Walton County is experiencing unprecedented growth. What should our commissioners do to capitalize on this growth, and what should they try to avoid?
Because of this growth, we need to listen to our citizens. That's the most important part of growing, is listening and communicating with our citizens, and also what they want and their concerns. It's not up to the 5 people on the dais to say, we're going to grow in this direction or we're going to grow in that direction. As I mentioned, we have Plan 2040. That should not be sitting on a desk. And as far as South and Central, each of those sections are very unique. In the South, we have very different kinds of communities. We were at the Freeport Business Association this morning, and their question was, tell us about the economic impact, what's happening. And they're also sharing that their business is impacted by some of the issues that are going down in District 5. Small business is important, and local business is important, and it depends on us. But in order for growth to happen, we have to have services for our people, services for our elderly population, services for our children. Thank goodness we have a doctor's hospital going in on 331. There's also another hospital going in on I-10. We need medical facilities. We need more community centers. When I tell people we don't have a community center in District 5, they go, what? We've been attending community centers with our forums. We were at Red Bay, we're going to go to Mossy Head, and it was wonderful to see the community love their community center and treat us beautifully as we had our forum. If you asked me where to have something in South Walton, I couldn't tell you where to have it. The library wouldn't take us because it's a political area, and they don't want to host that. So we have some needs going forward. As a commissioner, I'm certainly aware of that, north, south, and way up north to Paxton. So thank you.
You made me to read the question again. South and Central Walton County is experiencing unprecedented growth. What should our commissioners do to capitalize on this growth, and what should they try to avoid?
Well, first of all, it's not just South and Central. The whole county is growing rapidly. The hardest thing in keeping up with growth is infrastructure. Unfortunately, we can't stop projects because we don't have the infrastructure. What we have to do is we've got a new comp plan that people are working on. It's got some really good things in it, I think, the things I've seen so far. So we have to follow that. We have to follow the comp plan and the code. They've got some unique ways of looking at things that are quite different than we've done things in Walden County. So that's one of the things. The other thing is, whether we like it or not, every area is growing. I see some people from Mossy Head here. Guess what? Mossy Head's growing crazy. It's going to be crazier. People have just purchased or in the process of purchasing that golf course out there. They're going to put a lot of homes out there. It's going to cause stress on our infrastructure. But we got to work with the state. We got to work with the federal government to get these major arteries 6-lane, 4-lane where needed. And if we don't do that, we're going to have every place in the county is going to be like 331 and 20, which we have more wrecks there than we do anywhere. Actually, North Walton's infrastructure is worse than South Walton. There's more deaths in North Walton than there is in South Walton in automobiles. So there's a lot of work to be done, but having a plan, sticking to the plan, that's the way to get it done. Thank you.
So I'll start with the end of the question, what to avoid. Avoid not looking at research. I think we need to look at research on everything, in everything. And sometimes the information that I receive, it's not something that is the natural instinct. For example, resolving traffic issues. That's one of the things, again, I want to resolve the traffic issues, South Walton in particular, let's say, and the flow of traffic coming down 331 into Miramar. It's crazy. I had a practice in Santa Rosa. I couldn't get to it. It was tough. So we can 4-lane, and then we have a 4-lane parking lot, literally in traffic. You know, we can go from 2-lane to 4-lane, but if we don't address the root cause, then we just have a parking lot in, you know, on Highway 98. So I think research is the key, and really looking at it objectively and using that research to create solutions. And, you know, for example, I was speaking with the transportation fellow from Beach Operations, and we had very extended conversations, and I said, how long and how fast, if we were to address the traffic issue, can we do it, and how much reduction can we expect in traffic, and how long would it take? And he said, well, if we fast track it 2 years, in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, if he's saying 2 years, I want to get it done in like 16 months. There is a path to getting these things resolved. We still need to look at some research, but there is a path to get these things done, and then the key is to get it done expediently, and I think it can be done.
Mr. Anderson, again, this is a repeat of a former question. Social media, in particular, Facebook and Twitter or X, have become a launch pad for vicious, dangerous rants that can harm reputations and spread deliberate lies and disinformation. In light of the relentless hateful rhetoric and the recent assassination attempt on Donald Trump, how should a candidate or incumbent respond to such malicious vitriol?
Thank you. I'm glad you asked that to us also. As I said a while ago, the internet's the greatest thing we ever had. It's the worst thing we've ever had. It allows people to sit behind a keyboard without anybody knowing who they are and say anything they want. There was a commercial years ago about this guy asking this girl about the internet, and she said, oh yeah, I believe everything I read on the internet. And said, I'm dating a French model I met on the internet. And the guy comes up, and he's some goober from wherever, and he says, born Jorn. So, you know, you have to choose what you believe and what you don't. I don't care what people say about me. They've been vicious to me every year I've ran, and I don't care. It doesn't bother me. But this year they started taking it out on my family, and that's over the line. They started taking it out on my church, again, over the line. But as far as me responding to them, it's not going to happen. I don't read it. I don't like it. I'm not very efficient with it. My youngest son, he said, Dad, I'm glad it doesn't bother you. I'm really glad. But he said, I want to tell you something. They're talking about my dad, and it pisses me off. So stay away from the families. If you want to talk, you can call me any kind of name you want to call me. That's fine. I'm running for this office. But my family's not running for this office. That should be off limits. But it's not. And that's the problem with social media.
I don't know if you remember Match.com. My daughter met her husband that way. There are some positive things about Facebook or some of those medias, and that's why our parents have to be very vigilant from the time that your child is even 7 or 8 years old. I use Facebook to interact with a lot of citizens as far as county issues go. I let them know when some of the meetings are. I let them know when some of the issues are. I let them know when I think I need them to be at the county commission office. So I also listen to the sheriff and the emergency. My husband's not on Facebook, but when there was a fire in South Walton, I got my information on Facebook about where to go and when to get out. So yes, it has its detriments, but it's also positive if you're monitoring it. Now, as a candidate, we've all taken our hits. You heard from Brad, well, that man is active. The minute that I said I was running, I was already put up there, and it was really nasty and mean. But I'm strong. I mean, my thick skin, I didn't sue him. I didn't want to waste my time there. The last issue was terrible, and the police called me and said, do you want to press charges? I said, yes. So, that really took me when the police called me on that one. I think we all got strong working together, and we hope and we support each other, but we do not support what the vile kinds of things that have come out on Facebook that have really been hurtful and painful, especially even now on Nextdoor. So thank you.
Well, if you look at my posts, I try to keep them very optimistic and positive and uplifting. And but I have to say, coming from a communist country, I'm glad that we have free speech, and I'm glad that there are avenues for truth, because running in politics, sometimes we need to be kept straight. Maybe not this community, perhaps others, but sometimes it's great to have those investigative reporters that bring truth to the surface, because again, it serves us all, it makes us better. So I'm an advocate, a huge advocate of that freedom of speech and preferably truth. Thank you.
I guess I go back to you, sir.
All right.
Dr. Z, since I can't pronounce your last name either, I apologize. Looking into a crystal ball, what changes do you see on the horizon for Walton County, and how would you encourage or restrain these changes?
Well, so I have a vision for Walton County, and it's something that maybe not everyone has completely thought out, but I want to see a very self-sustained Walton County. I mean everything from sustenance to habitation, because there are some players in the world like EMPs. I don't know if anyone knows what an EMP is, but it can drastically, maybe I'll share what that is. So in essence, a friend of mine, he is cybersecurity with a nuclear plant, and there's a lot of research on what would happen if this EMP occurred. And in essence, it would shut down anything electronic. So again, maybe it's a little preemptive to discuss this at this point, but it would be smart, I think, as a county, as a nation, for us to be prepared for some of these things, because there are some radical outcomes if we don't take some proactive steps. So for example, in an urban community, within 90 days of this type of a fallout, electronic fallout, the death rate is 50%. So it's not 5%. It's 50% in urban communities. So I want to see Walton County self-sustained. So I want to bring innovation. I want to bring some optimistic, positive thinking and resolve some of the small issues that we're dealing with, because honestly, we live in one of the most beautiful counties. I mean, if you drive around south, north, it's just breathtaking. So I just want to do my part to make it better. Thank you.
Can you just repeat the question?
Yes, ma'am. Looking into a crystal ball, what changes do you see on the horizon for Walton County, and how would you encourage or restrain these changes?
Well, I don't need to look at a crystal ball to see that Governor DeSantis gave $3 million to Defuniak Springs for the airport. I don't need to look at a crystal ball to see that the county government gave Defuniak Springs $5 million for their airport. That's wonderful news. So the crystal ball will be, let's see when this happens. There's supposed to be about 500 jobs in this reconstruction of the airport, and that's exciting. They also have a lobbying group that I'm very impressed with. It's Liberty Partners. Liberty Partners brought in almost $7 million into the city of Defuniak. So, you know, we have to look at what we can do right now. Nobody has a crystal ball to see what's in the future, but we can plan for the future. And I say when we plan, we have to prioritize what we want to do as a county. And when we prioritize, we need to organize to get that done. But let's not forget that we have to economize as well. There are a lot of projects that we see coming across, but where do we get the money? Nobody wants to raise taxes. Nobody wants to take money out of the reserves. So we have to prioritize, we have to organize, we have to economize going into this crystal ball looking. And when you say a crystal ball, when a child, it's like a child going into a candy store and looking at all the candy, and the mama says, you can't buy any because I don't have any money. So we have to look at what we really can do and optimize what we have.
Okay, looking into a crystal ball, what changes do you see on the horizon for Walton County? And how would you encourage or restrain any of these changes?
Well, I tell you, one of the crystal ball changes I see is sitting right out there in our EDA director, Mr. Uriah Matthews. Uriah I met a year or so ago, and the guy thinks outside the box. He's creating jobs in Walton County. He's creating sustainable jobs in Walton County. The problem we've had in the past is our best and brightest are not staying. They don't have jobs for the best and brightest. With new hospitals coming in, that's going to keep some of them. But we need jobs to keep our kids in Walton County and keep the best and the brightest in Walton County. It's going to take a lot. It's going to take a lot of years to do this. But we've already created 10,000 really good jobs for Walton County. We're always going to be a tourist community as long as we have the world's most beautiful beaches. But we've got to diversify our economy, and that's what we're trying to do. We've got a lot more diversity than we did 4 years ago. We have way more diversity in our economy than we did 8 years ago. Now we've got a problem with affordable housing. And I can tell you folks, if we don't get this straight, if we don't figure this affordable housing out, the federal government's going to figure it for us. And the more government you have, the less freedoms that we have as people. So I see good things for Walton County. I continue to be an optimist for Walton County. And the things we're doing now will continue to make Walton County a better place. So I think that we're in good shape. We're headed in the right direction, but we still have work to do.
Tony, if you'll pass the microphone to the doctor, we'll start our summation.
Okay. I have a significant vision for Walton County, everything from traffic mitigation to job creation, even expansion of some of the things that we already have in place, like agriculture, and especially looking at the youth of Walton County. So I have a vision that's probably larger than I can articulate it in the next couple of minutes, and I would love to get into some detail on that, perhaps on my website, electdrz.com. I am truly blessed to be surrounded by these folks here that have committed to this process of running for office. In the beginning, when I first started this, I had this thought, because on a large political level, I thought, you know, it would be interesting if every politician went through a protocol that they put the sheriff's deputies through and the police officers through, and that is a polygraph. I thought that initially, I thought, wouldn't it be great if we could avoid the problems that we see with, like the Nancy Pelosi's of the world, they end up with $287 million in their bank accounts, if we can filter these things out early on with polygraphs. And then after understanding and hearing and learning the hearts of some of these people running for office, you know, my faith has been restored in the process and the intent of servitude. So thank you for having me. I'm Dr. Z running for District 5.
All my career, I've been an advocate. I've been an advocate for parents, for teachers, and for children. And when I retired, I didn't really have a plan, and things happened beautifully for me because I became an advocate for the citizens of Walton County, which was a large picture for me as opposed to just an elementary school of 300 children. And that was the hardest job of my life because I worried about their safety. I worried about who stayed after school and didn't. I worried about who didn't have lunch. And some of these things are still happening. We have a great school system in Walton County. It's an A+ school system, but we still have children that hurt as well. But being an advocate, I am going to be an advocate for the citizens. I have no special interests. I will not recuse myself from any agenda item. My special interests are you, the people. Give me a chance to change the county. Give me a chance to represent you for District 5. Barbara Morano, District 5. Thank you.
We have a long way to go in Walton County. We grew too fast. In the early 2000s, we were discovered. We were discovered nationwide. We have people coming from all over the country. The difference between now and the early 2000s is, due to COVID, the corporations found out that they didn't need brick and mortar buildings for their people. They could work from home. Another plus for the internet. But the whole thing is, people are moving here now. They're not building rentals. I'm not saying there's no rentals units going up, there is. But most of the houses we're getting are people moving to Walton County. There's over 1,000 people a day moving to the state of Florida. As I said a while ago, Freeport was the fastest growing city in the whole state in 21. So we've got to be prepared for them. We do have to get better at our infrastructure, and we have to be ready to accept new citizens into our fold. It's growing, they're coming. This is not the beach community for Opp and Andalusia and Dothan anymore. It's the beach community for the whole United States. And we've got to diversify our economy. We have to continue working with that. We've got a great EDA board working towards that. We're creating more jobs than we ever have because we have more people than we've ever had. So on August 20th, I'd appreciate your vote. Remember, early voting's August the 10th. As Republicans, we're not great at early voting, but folks, anything can happen on the 20th. So please get out and vote early, because the opposition is doing that. And one thing I'll wrap up with is, God bless America and God bless Donald Trump. Thank you.